Hi. So today's video is just going to be extremely casual. Just thought I would just hit record and just speak. I have been seeing a lot of misconception where people think that to be a senior engineer you have to be this 10x coder or something. So think to yourself, when you think of a senior software engineer, what comes to your mind? Do you think someone who just grinds through their tickets blazing fast? Someone whose code is just absolutely flawless, there is no bugs or anything? And just given any problem, they'll go ahead and solve it. Like it's nothing. Well, some of it is true, but that's not what it actually takes to be a senior software engineer. It's a whole array of more non technical skills that even an individual contributor for a senior plus engineer needs to do to be able to stand out and actually get promoted. There's again that misconception that soft skills are meant for managers and whatnot. That's absolute false. And let me spill the details for you. So this brings me to my first point. Senior engineers know how to make their impact visible. So think back to yourself. What does your day-to-day look like? Do you spend most of your time just sitting down, grinding out those tickets that are assigned to you by their product managers or whatever? Well, for senior engineers, coding is probably just 20 to 30% of their day-to-day. Most of the other time goes into these tasks like building alignments between different stakeholders, simplifying complex problems, identifying unwanted complexity, flagging some of that so that the team can think towards simplifying that, and so on. So let me ask you, do you think if you just take most of your day to code out tasks that are assigned to you, that your impact would be visible? No, it won't, because you're just doing what is assigned to you. You're not taking that extra step, which will make your impact visible. And which is usually what senior engineers tend to do. They don't stick to the problems that are assigned to them. They go and proactively find problems that they need to solve and bring it up to the relevant stakeholders and flag it so that relevant resources can be allocated to solving that potential issue. And it's not a given that anything that is brought up by a senior engineer will be taken into consideration. A lot of it might be put into backlog, but yet the initiative that one takes to just flag these things is pretty big. And not all engineers actually do that. So hence, a lot of engineers actually plateau around the junior and mid-level because they feel scared to take the step outside of their assigned coding tasks, and they just don't know how to navigate through that. So I'll give an example of myself. When I initially joined my company, all my time used to just go into focusing on the technical side of things, how to write the most beautiful code, or how to make the most beautiful system design. And in my scenario, when I thought of beautiful code and beautiful system design, I was actually overcomplicating things than what really required. So when a senior engineer stepped in and pointed out that, okay, this looks a bit more complicated than it actually needs to be. And he came up with ideas which kind of left me baffled, because then even I realized that I was just unnecessarily overcomplicating this project or this task, while it could be handled in a much simpler way, which would not only make this system a lot more extensible and manageable, but also a lot more scalable. So I would also say that senior engineers know how to make their impact visible because they know what it takes or what the company needs or what aligns with the company's business goals, because those things are what make, or those initiatives are what makes an engineer stand out and visible to everyone, because they know what moves the needle, and that's what it takes, not just doing your coding tasks. So this brings me to my second point, having effective communication and leadership. So like I said in my previous point, senior engineers, they tend to simplify complexity, they flag issues when required, they build alignment between stakeholders, and so on. And to do all of this, one requires really good communication skills. And I don't mean only spoken skills. Spoken skills are important, don't get me wrong, but there's a whole array of written communication skills that can be absolute game changing. So if you're extremely introverted like how I was, you can really leverage these documentation skills. And I don't mean, again, writing those documents that no one reads, but being strategic with it. Could be writing documents around proper trade-off analysis between all the different points, conducting structured discussions on said document instead of posting multiple different Slack messages and having the information scattered everywhere. So again, that's again a very small example, and you can dive deep into this and even dive wide into this and use it for so many different use cases. And like I said, can be absolutely game changing, especially if you're introverted and looking to make that impact or looking to make yourself visible and recognized within the company. You can also think that with upcoming AI revolution, where AI can now code, a lot of junior and mid-level engineers are kind of scared for their jobs because they feel they'll be replaced by AI in a couple of years. And maybe they're right, because the execution skills can be replaced by AI. But these other human skills that I talked about could be building alignment between stakeholders, leading projects, simplifying things, are much less replaceable than AI because they are quote unquote human skills. So you can think of it as this way: coding is an engine of a car, while the direction and leadership is the steering wheel. So if you don't have either or, you're either revving in place or just driving straight into the wrong direction, which is extremely wasteful. So, as someone who works on their soft skills and leverages them heavily, you can be potentially really be someone who becomes a lot less replaceable by AI because you handle the direction while AI handles the execution part of it. So, if you're a software engineer who only focuses on coding, think through this carefully. Do you want to be replaceable? If not, start focusing on your soft skills because it will set you apart. This also brings me to my third point. Senior engineers also spend a lot of time making lives easier for others. They mentor them, they find problems that are common to the teams or multiple different teams, they find solutions to them, they propose these solutions, they get buy in, they lead these projects which will make lives easier for everyone on the team. This could be around architecture, this could be around DevX, could be around infra, whatever. But just being able to mentor others by taking these kind of initiatives, or even mentor others through one-on-ones and just helping them learn where they can improve, again, on the technical side of things and on the non-technical side of things, while leading these kinds of projects which makes the team's life easier, is what senior engineers do. If you, again, you are a junior or mid-level engineer only focused on doing tasks that are assigned to you by your EM or PM, you're not going to stand out because you're literally just doing what is assigned to you. Everyone else is doing that. So why will you be recognized, or why will your work be visible? So think outside the box a bit. Think of taking those initiatives. See how these other senior engineers in your company operates. I would say senior levels differ from company to company. In one company, it might cater towards more about just getting your tasks done, while in these other companies, it will be more through leadership, alignment building, and all of that shebang. So see what rubrics, quote unquote, are required in your company to be considered a senior, and start positioning yourself as someone who operates on that level. So you will be picked up for the next promotion. Or again, you'll just be making your impact visible. You'll be making yourself more recognized. And because of that, promotion will come. So whatever senior engineers do, it just gives everyone else the leeway to learn from them. And don't get me wrong, doesn't mean senior engineers are always right. But the fact that they think outside the box and take initiatives is what, like I said, sets them apart. And again, there's another big misconception that senior engineers know everything. That is so wrong. Senior engineers are humans like everyone else. They make mistakes. They don't need to be right all the time. They just need to know where to push the button and how to make it matter. So again, focusing on these non-technical skills or more quote unquote soft skills is going to be an absolutely crucial thing to focus on to boost your career up, because if you focus just on your coding or technical skill, you'll probably just plateau at some point. So yes, do think about whatever I talked about today. I hope this was a pretty quick video. I literally just set up the camera to record and I thought I'll just speak what comes to mind. I don't have any script or whatever. So this would kind of be on the shorter side. But anyways, we talked about how engineers make their impact visible, how one needs to do effective communication through both written and spoken means to make that impact visible, and then how engineers also work on improving others' lives or the team's lives. So at the end of the day, it's not just about how good you can code. That's literally a very small aspect of being a senior engineer. You need to also focus on these non-technical side of things, which will set you apart. I kid you not. And that is something what I personally heavily relied on to catapult my career as well, from a new grad to a senior in under 2 years. So if you're someone who only focuses on the coding side of things, take some time to reflect. Are you doing everything that is required, or are you just passing by? And yeah, that's it for today.